So welcome students to our new YouTube channel Pharmax Tech, the division of excellence. So let's start to the new chapter of pharmacology, which is antibacterial agents. So let's start. So the antibacterial agents is the general term, and these antibacterial agents, it includes the antibiotics, and these antibacterial agents are the chemical derived from biological organisms which fight the infections. For examples, the penicillins are derived from the molds and they are used to fight the bacterial infections. And these antibacterial agents, they are results in the killing of bacteria, that means bactericidal, or suppresses their growth, that means bacteriostatic. And these antibacterial agents which are work on the principle of selective toxicity, and where they target the bacterial processes like cell wall synthesis and protein synthesis, but they leave the eukaryotic cells largely unaffected. And also the broad spectrum agents, they are effective against a range of organisms. And also the widespread use of antibiotics has resulted in the resistance, and they leading to superbugs which are unaffected by many antibacterials. And also the broad spectrum antibiotics, they are associated with diarrhea, as they may disturb the balance of bacterial flora in the gastrointestinal tract, that means your GIT. So next we see some antibacterial agents. So the first one is penicillins, and examples of penicillins are amoxicillin, ampicillin, benzyl penicillin, that means penicillin G, flucloxacillin, and phenoxymethyl penicillin, that means penicillin 5. And these penicillins are beta-lactam antibiotics. And also the penicillins target the bacterial cell wall synthesis by binding the irreversibly to a transpeptidase enzyme, and which cross-links the peptidoglycans and in the bacterial cell wall, and so they are only effective against the dividing organisms. And also the penicillins are bactericidal, and they causing lysis of the bacteria. The lysis means the breakdown. The penicillins break down the penicillins, causing the breakdown of the bacteria. And some penicillins are inactivated by beta lactamases, and they are secreted by the resistant bacteria. Clavulanic acid is included with some agents, that means amoxicillin, to inhibit the beta lactamases, and other penicillins including flucloxacillin. This flucloxacillin are resistant to beta lactamases. And also the penicillins are immunogenic, and some patients develop allergic reactions on repeat exposure due to the penicillins. So the next one is cephalosporins. Examples of cephalosporins are cefaclor, cephalaxin, cefotaxime, and cefuroxime. So these are the examples of cephalosporins: cefaclor, cephalaxin, cefotaxime, and cefuroxime. And these cephalosporins, they are beta-lactam antibiotics, and these cephalosporins, they are act in a similar way to that of the penicillins. And also these cephalosporins show the cross-reactivity with the penicillins, and approximately 0.5 to 6.5% of penicillin allergic patients will also be allergic to the same cephalosporins. So the next one is glycopeptides, and example of glycopeptide is teicoplanin and vancomycin. So these teicoplanin and vancomycin, these are the examples of glycopeptides. And these glycopeptides, these also inhibit the bacterial cell wall synthesis by inhibiting the growth of the peptidoglycan chain. And also they are often used to manage the severe infections due to superbugs such as methicillin resistant Staphylococcus aureus, and they are largely bacteriostatic in nature. So the glycopeptides are largely bacteriostatic in nature. So the next one is tetracyclines. Example of tetracyclines are doxycycline and tetracycline. So these tetracyclines, they inhibit the protein synthesis by binding to the 30S subunit of the bacterial ribosomes, and they preventing the tRNA from binding at the acceptor A site. So the tetracyclines inhibit the protein synthesis by binding to the 30S subunit of the bacterial ribosomes, and they preventing the tRNA from binding at the acceptor site. And also the tetracyclines are bacteriostatic in nature. And also tetracyclines, their use has decreased due to their resistance. So the next one is macrolides, and examples of macrolides are clarithromycin and erythromycin. So these macrolides are prevent the translocation of the 50th subunit of the bacterial ribosomes along with the mRNA, and so they prevent the protein synthesis which are resulting in the bacteriostatic action. And also the erythromycin is often used as an alternative to penicillin in patients with a penicillin allergy. And also the macrolides are cytochromes P450 inhibitors, and they are associated with a range of drug interactions, and they increases the concentration of interacting drugs. And also the erythromycin stimulates the gastrointestinal motility via motilin receptors, and it is associated with the nausea. So the next one is clindamycin. So the clindamycin inhibits the protein synthesis by a similar mechanism to the macrolide antibiotics by preventing the translocation of 50S subunit of the bacterial ribosomes along with the mRNA, and so prevent the protein synthesis resulting in the bacteriostatic action. And also next one is chloramphenicol. So these chloramphenicol inhibits the protein synthesis by binding to the 50S subunit of the bacterial ribosomes, and they inhibiting the formation of peptide bonds, that means transpeptidation. And also these chloramphenicol, its systematic use is associated with a risk of aplastic anemia, and so it is reserved for life-threatening infections. And also the topical chloramphenicol, it is available as an over-the-counter medicine, that means OTC medicine for the conjunctivitis, and it is not associated with the aplastic anemia. So the next one is aminoglycosides, and the examples of aminoglycosides are gentamicin, neomycin and tobramycin. So these gentamicin, neomycin and tobramycin, these are aminoglycosides. So these aminoglycosides, they bind irreversibly to the 30S subunit of the bacterial ribosomes, and they leading to misreading of the mRNA and inhibition of the protein synthesis. And also these aminoglycosides enter the bacterial cells via an energy dependent active transport process, and they are less effective against the anaerobes, that means anaerobic bacteria. And also aminoglycosides, they are in bactericidal in nature. And also the aminoglycosides, their use is complicated by toxicity, which is leading to ototoxicity and nephrotoxicity. So the next one is quinolones. So the examples of quinolones are ciprofloxacin, norfloxacin and ofloxacin. So these ciprofloxacin, norfloxacin and ofloxacin, so these are the quinolones, and these quinolones, these are the inhibitors of bacterial DNA gyrase and topoisomerase 4. And in gram-negative bacteria, the DNA gyrase is inhibited, and quinolones inhibit this supercoiling of the bacterial DNA, and which is essential for the DNA repair and the replication. And also in gram-positive bacteria, the topoisomerase 4 is the target, and quinolones interfere with the separation of DNA strands on the replication in the quinolones. So the next one is sulfonamides and trimethoprim. So these sulfonamides are analogs of p-aminobenzoic acid, that means PABA. So in the GPAT there is a question, sulfonamides are the analogs of, and the right answer is p-aminobenzoic acid, that means PABA. And the sulfonamides they inhibit the growth of bacteria by competitively inhibiting the enzyme dihydrotorate synthetase, and thus they involved in the synthesis of folate from PABA. And the availability of DNA and RNA precursors is therefore reduced due to sulfonamides and trimethoprim. And these sulfonamides and trimethoprim, they are in bacteriostatic in nature. And also the human metabolism is not affected as folate is obtained from the diet, that is folic acid. And also the trimethoprim is structurally related to the folate, and thereby they acting as a folate antagonist, and thus they inhibiting the bacterial dihydrofolate reductases, and which converts the folate to tetrahydrofolate. And this trimethoprim is less potent against the human form of the enzyme. And also this trimethoprim it is used in the urinary tract and in the chest infections. And also the sulfamethoxazole is combined with trimethoprim in cotrimoxazole. So in the cotrimoxazole, the sulfamethoxazole is combined with trimethoprim in cotrimoxazole. So in cotrimoxazole, the drugs they are combined, they are trimethoprim and sulfamethoxazole. So the next one is metronidazole. So the metronidazole is a prodrug which is activated by anaerobic bacteria to the products which damages the helical structure of the DNA, and it is used against the anaerobic bacteria and protozoas. And also this metronidazole, it leads to a disulfiram reactions with the alcohol. So the next one is anti-tubercular drugs. So these anti-tuberculous drugs, these are the drugs, they are used in the combination to eradicate the tuberculosis infections, and that means to cure the tuberculosis infections due to the mycobacteria, and these treatments is required for 6 to 9 months to cure the infection of tuberculosis. And the drugs, anti-tubercular drugs, they are isoniazid. So the isoniazid inhibits the synthesis of mycolic acid present in the mycobacterial cell walls, and also this isoniazid, it possesses the selective bacteriostatic activity against the mycobacterial species with some bactericidal activity against the actively dividing mycobacteria. So the second one is rifampicin. So this rifampicin binds to and inhibits the DNA dependent RNA polymerase in the prokaryotic cells but not in the eukaryotic cells. And also this rifampicin, it is also active against some gram positive and gram negative species, and it is important. So this rifampicin is the important inducer of drug metabolism via induction of cytochrome P450, and thus this cytochrome P450 decreases the concentration of the interacting drugs. So the third one is ethambutol. So the ethambutol inhibits the growth of mycobacteria through the inhibition of arabinosyl transferases. It involves in the cell wall synthesis, and in ethambutol there is a resistance is a problem in ethambutol. So the next one is pyrazinamide. So the pyrazinamide, these agents become tuberculostatic in an acidic pH, and this pyrazinamide, it is effective against the intracellular mycobacteria which are found in the macrophages following by the phagocytosis. And these pyrazinamide is most effective against the rapidly dividing intracellular organisms, and this pyrazinamide is the most effective in the first 2 months only. And the important points in these are the bacterial cell wall synthesis is the target for the penicillins, cephalosporins and glycopeptides, and also the bacterial protein synthesis and the bacterial ribosomal subunits are the targets for the tetracyclines, macrolides, clindamycin, chloramphenicol and aminoglycosides. And also the quinolones, quinolones inhibit the bacterial DNA gyrase. And also the sulfonamides and trimethoprim interfere with the bacterial synthesis or metabolism of folates required for the DNA and RNAs. And the antibacterial agents, they are in bactericidal or in a bacteriostatic in nature. So these are the basic introduction towards the antibacterial agents. So thank you for watching this video, and please share this video to your friends. Thank you.